Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast episode of Playing Camp, and this time in English because our guest today is someone super incredible, amazing. We know each other from the Mind Valley community. His name is Kevin Moreau. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. And he's also known as Mr.Mingle. Why? Because he's connecting people and he's a social catalyst and he helps misfits, people like me or people like Kevin, which sometimes we don't fit too much into the norm and the normative of everyone. And he's helping us to uncover our tribe, which in my case is the Playing Camp tribe, and how to embrace our uniqueness, what makes us special and misfit, to utilize that to attract more people like us, and then move from I'm alone, I'm so weird, to I have people that understand me and value me and love me for who I am. And it's such a liberation. So get ready, guys, because we are going to learn so much in this journey with Kevin. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Kevin.
I'm so grateful, and thank you so much, Carlito, for inviting me. I am so much a big fan of your energy, of your play camp. And even though that's kind of crazy because we've been twice in the same environment for months, and actually I never came to play with you for very bad reasons yet, but I love what you're doing. Basically, my inner child was widely trying to get into that. Just whenever you did your play camps, it was right after my having lunch, and I'm very serious. Like, I don't exercise right after eating, so I was like, "Oh no, come on!" But I wanted to jump on so widely.
Thank you, Kevin. No worries, you are in the waiting list. So some FOMO is always good. Nice. And I mean, you're super welcome to come to Madrid, man. I'm living here now and I'm starting to work with companies and I organize things on the open air as well for everyone. So yeah, super welcome to you and to all the listeners. So Kevin, Mr. Mingle, let's get a sense of what is this of social catalyst, what is this of misfits, uniqueness, and tribe.
So yeah, thank you so much for that question. So basically, and actually, you were present when it happened to me. Maybe not in the same room at that time, but everything started for me in Tallinn, Estonia. Like for so many other people in the Mind Valley community, many things happened in that city during the summer. And actually, so I was granted spiritual name. My Mr.Mingle was blessed to me in a way by Sonia Choquette during a seminar, and I was sitting next to a friend, which is Mr. Bliss now. So he's Mr. Bliss, I'm Mr.Mingle. And when I received that name, it all clicked, actually. And it all clicked, and I was like, I was just recently, I just got my certification as a coach. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do as a coach. I was a life coach, all right, but there are so many ways. Like, life is huge, right? There are so many ways to explore that. And at that time, I knew, I felt it. And I had no plan to host an event. I had no plan to host a workshop. And actually, 2 days later, I was hosting my first workshop. I all created it in a rush. It was a success, small success, not so many people, but still a success. Then I did it again one week later, even bigger. And I did it again, even bigger. And it's how it happened. I received something, and that's the thing. I believe it's one of the most common mistakes. I don't like that in that context, but in personal growth, personal development world, we tend to ingest a lot. We tend to receive a lot of inputs, amazing insights. We feel like, oh, my brain is blown away. I'm like, it's magical. And then what do? We don't take action. We go for the next event, the next course, the next webinar, and we keep feeding ourselves, which feels amazing. And that's there's a guy, an amazing guy called Alex Sodo. I'm a huge fan of him from the Livebook community. He calls it procrasti learning. And we fall into a loop of procrasti learning. And we keep learning and learning and learning again, the same way we would scroll endlessly on social media, or would play the same game for hundreds of hours. And don't get me wrong, I love social media. I'm a gamer, so there's nothing wrong with that in limited amount, right? But we get stuck in that loop of learning. So for once, I decided to go action. I just downloaded a huge insight, an incredible breakthrough, an epiphany of sorts. And I was like, okay, let's take action. And I know you're a big fan of taking action. So I knew it would resonate with you.
Lovely, Kevin. So you were there, and then you had this insight of procrasti learning. Okay, we are all like here feeding ourselves with knowledge, but nothing is happening. So at that point, you took action. What did you do?
So I created that workshop, and actually it's super interesting because I had a scene inside of my head. I received and then the thing that procrasti learning loop is not necessarily bad. At least for some time, it's very good. Like you get some learnings and it grows, and you add some new fertilizer and it grows bigger and bigger, and you connect dots. Especially like I'm a multi-passionate. I love many, many things, different things. So I connect dots that not so many people are able to connect. And I was able to connect different concepts around social relationships. And I started to combine all those concepts and other concepts that have nothing to do with social relationships, like the Japanese concept of ikigai, you might be familiar with, right? And that idea, so to find your perfect activity, it doesn't have to be a job necessarily, it can be a hobby, but something that you do, that you love, that really you are extremely good at, that the world needs, and that you can get money from. It can be your main job, but it can be just a hobby on the side, right? And by doing that, you unlock incredible powers, right? And the ikigai is magical. So I took that concept of ikigai for activities and translated it to people, and combined it with Jim Rohn's very famous quote, "We're the sum of the 5 people we hang out the most with." And those two combined plus other ones, and I don't want to bore you with details, but I combined different concepts like that, and I created mine, and I went from ikigai to ikigais, to the people that will bring you the equivalent of ikigai.
Oh, that's so good. So okay, but I mean, okay, let's go deeper into the tools. Like now you spark my curiosity. So okay, I love this idea of we get these tools that are used in personal development to find yourself, and then we are applying those into our social network, into our friendships, our relationships. So okay, let's use me as an example. Okay, I'm going to be here like how to find my ikigais.
So as you can imagine, there's no fast and quick fix, right? Otherwise, it would be like everybody would have exactly who they want and who they need around them. But I can create fast lanes or shortcuts for you, at least just for the sake of your example. And the idea for me, so you remember there are 4 different conditions to ikigai, right? Yeah. For me, I started with 4. I added a 5th one. I believed I needed to separate 2 of them. And basically, the idea is to find at least 5 people, but really focus on 5 specific people that will bring the most in joy, growth, support, wealth, and impact. And I have very personal definitions for them, at least for a couple of these categories. But the idea is really to have those people around you that bring you the most, everything that you need and want, and that are not just a support system, that they are really a thriving system. They help you not just survive, but go. The sky the limit. Go as far and as beyond as possible. So it's really the idea.
Got you. And I like it a lot, actually. I mean, it resonates so much. And I can already start thinking about single people in my life. The only thing I had never think about finding a specific person for a specific domains. And also, like, very recently, I uploaded a video on Instagram speaking about how many people do we have in our lives, especially in the difficult moments. Like, when you go to the hospital, who are the people that go there? Or when you have to do moving in homes, or when you are left without a job or something like that. Like, especially situations that require an effort from the other person and a sacrifice. And it's interesting because the person that can be joy is the person that can say, yes, let's go to a dance festival. However, the person that goes to the hospital maybe is the support one.
And that's such a very powerful point. You can't expect to have all your ikigais to rate maximum points on each category. Maybe the case, and then wow, fantastic. But you can't expect, like, I'm pretty sure you have, or you had in the past, some friends. You knew, like, if you were calling them at 3 a.m. in the morning, you were like 200 kilometers or miles away from home, under the rain. You had your car was broken. They would come in a snap. Like, they would just jump in a car and they would come to you. But the same people, if you ever needed like €5 or $5, they won't ever give them that money to you. Or maybe if you ask them to help you move from an apartment to another, they will just disappear, and you won't hear from them like for 2 weeks. Like, that's the thing. We know we can expect amazing friendship and amazing support from some specific people on some specific areas, and other ones to them are super triggering. You can just forget about them for other things, and that's okay. Well, I believe the best way to go is, okay, I identify I can't count on you on those topics, but I know I have other people that I can rely on those other topics. You can pick in the beauty of having a wonderful social life. And I know you have many friends, you have many people around you. So I'm sure at least you're very good at connecting. And maybe another thing, we don't know each other that much. I know you're to me, you're a walking sun. Whenever you come into a room, you bring so much light and fun and joy. Everybody is laughing. Everybody spark naturally. But keeping a healthy circle of true friends over time, it might be quite different. Like, it's something else. Connecting easily with someone doesn't mean you're able to nurture the relationships over time. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you maybe it just doesn't come naturally to you. Yeah, does it make sense?
So much. Like, and it's true. And okay, this is going to be a full therapy, guys. If you are listening, enjoy. So at this point of life is that, like, I go to networking events, I can mingle with everyone, I have fun, and I connect. And then, brother, loneliness. Like, I feel lonely. And part of it, of me doing playing camp, is that thing of, what do you do when you have free time and you find yourself like like I'm free, but what is the people that I can meet? And these examples of the 3 a.m., I mean, lucky for me, I have a therapist somewhere that is close, so he helps me. But sometimes I'm very extroverted as well, so I feel loneliness quite easily. So then I would ask you, how can we transition to it's easy to connect, to we build strong relationships for these 5 ikigais?
And so there's different, there are at least 3 different roads we could take right now. I have 3 different trains of thoughts. So I will keep 2 of them up my sleeve, and I will just focus on your question right now. And that's the thing, actually, it is very interesting because apparently you're a true extrovert, and I don't like that too much because actually I don't believe they are true introverts or true extroverts, because it's a spectrum. It's not a 0 or 1. You're not extrovert or introvert. No, actually we are all partly introverts, partly extroverts, and we have different ratings, right? Like, for example, according to Myers-Briggs, at least, I am 60% extrovert, yet I'm 40% introvert. And believe me, my introvert inner body is very strong. I am very deeply introvert, even though my front side is extrovert. I need to nurture my introvert very, very well. And then the thing, extroverts are extremely good at connecting, but they are not always so good at going deep. It doesn't mean it's impossible for them, but it requires more effort. It's outside of the comfort zone, so to speak. And that the chance we have ambiverts. So I'm an ambivert. I'm both. I'm more an extrovert, but I'm also very deeply an introvert. And a lot of time I spent really deep into my introvert because I was super shy. I was bullied. I felt like a victim. So I went. Plus, I'm a Capricorn. Apparently, we have something like that. And I went into my cave, and I went very deep into my personal introvert. So I know introverts extremely well, even though my natural tendency is extrovert. So I know both, and I was able to combine both. So I'm really good at connecting, and I'm also extremely good at going very deep. And that's the thing. Usually, most people have either one or the other. That it is much more easy. So I totally feel you, man. And you're not alone. Believe me, you're not alone. There are many other extroverts like you. And it's like anything else. It's a skill. You can learn it. You can just practice. And at first, it will feel like a stretch. But you can learn to go deeper and to nurture over time relationships, which introverts are extremely good at that, but for them, it is the connection that is more difficult, and especially connecting with many people at once.
Yeah. I don't think my limitation is in the deepness, on the depth, because you could be surprised how many first dates end up a therapy session. like, it's so quick that people start telling me like, the biggest struggle they are going through or something like that. So in many cases, it's from my side that I don't go deep into my vulnerability. But I believe it's more on the nurture. And I'm going to reflect a bit on this because, let's call this friend for growth, which is a friend from many years ago. And we had a conversation recently. And for me, it was very frustrating because I'm so obsessed with the playing camp. It's the only thing that I speak all the time. And then he told me, like, don't talk about playing camp. And I'm like, brother, I don't know what to speak. Like every conversation is going to playing camp. And eventually, at some point, I was thinking like in kind of self-justification. Like, yeah, so then I also have to ask you, how is your mother? And that moment, I mean, I create a whole exercise for playing camp on connecting with people or connecting deeper. It's like, how often do we ask each other how is our families? And I believe there is I don't know if it's deep or not, because a lot of people tell me like, my mother is fine, but there is a nurture point into that. Like, what could you say?
And then the thing, so when I mention deep, there are many ways to go deep, actually. And I know you enough to you can go very, very deep. I have no doubt about it. No, there are some levels of deep that might not be so easy, and actually being able to nurture and really kind of creating a system where naturally you will come back and nurture. Like I don't, you love nature, right? Usually you prefer going into real nature if you can, I believe. But if you can't, you will go with parks, right? With parks or squares, places of artificial nature of sorts, or like human controlled nature. And human controlled nature is the thing. The real nature, the real forest, doesn't need any system, any agenda. It just grows. The weather goes its way, and everything happens magically. In a park, it's quite different. You need people to go on a schedule, nurture the trees, take care of them, etc. They have a whole system to help them take care of the nature. It doesn't happen naturally. And I feel the same, like, and that system, the parks and recreation guys, the people that take care of the parks, they have a system that goes very deep. They know extremely well, all that stuff. So they know exactly how to follow that, which days they need to water the crop, what season, to snip them and take care of them, etc. They have their entire schedule and their entire system to take care of that. So it's another type of deep.
Yeah.
And introverts tend to have that naturally. When they connect with someone, because they're extremely picky with the people they connect with. They really connect with only a very limited number of people. So when they decide to be vulnerable enough to connect, they go super deep. And they have that kind of system naturally. And extroverts, on the other hand, it doesn't come that easy. Does it make sense?
Yeah. What I would say, because I'm still, for me, the connection, which is like the beginning, is not so much the problem. Even the depth, when there is a match, is really easy. If there is a match between people. But I believe that there is a lesson here about the broadness. I think it's breadth, how extent, and because sometimes it's that, like, sometimes I'm too deep, and I have received this feedback from people like, brother, relax. And my friend was telling me that, like, speak about, non-existential, non-consequential topics. And I believe you and me, we are from the same environment, personal development, everything is saving the world, everything is discovering the last shadow work that you have not done yet, and all this stuff. And but I guess the breadth on a person, I think that's a factor of nurturing the relationship. Like, what did you have for breakfast today? And without the consequences of, is this good for your health? You can optimize this. Are you taking this supplement? It's more like, yeah, like, how were you feeling when you had breakfast this morning? Something like this. Well, I don't know. Is this a strategy for nurturing? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, it can totally do, and it's very interesting. So I strongly believe in polarization. I strongly believe it's a good thing, especially because I specialize in misfits, in working. Like, I feel deeply as a misfit. My whole life I suffered a lot because of that, and then I flipped the script around. and I was able to embrace my misfitness and make it shine bright and actually connect thanks to those people. So actually, I love that kind of weirdness, and so to me, it makes sense to really polarize. Like, if you don't like me, if you're the type of people that feel extremely well into the norm and want to follow very strict lines, we all have those kind of cultural lanes, right? In Spain, in France, in the US, there are many like that, and I probably won't naturally follow that. Like, for example, there are some cultures where you have to ask how the mother of the other is doing. Like, it's culturally an obligation. If you don't do that, you're being super rude. In other cultures, you won't ever do that because it could be very rude. And I'm like, you know what? If I care about you enough that I will ask you about your mother, I will. If you get upset about that, and if I don't think about it because I didn't feel I had to, and I'm missing a cue here, I'm so sorry, but I'm not following your cultural lanes. I'm going with my own vibe. And just to getting back to your breakfast example, there are so many ways to do that. Like, I'm a foodie, so if you ask me something about my breakfast, my eyes will sparkle. I will be super excited, or disappointed if I had disappointing breakfast. But it won't be like, yeah, it was fine. Breakfast for me is serious business. So you're talking about food to me. You're a potential friend to me. Instantly, you're like, you triggered my interest. You sparked my curiosity instantly. So absolutely, that's the thing. By asking that kind of questions, it's almost like probing in a way. It doesn't have to be intentional, but in a way, you're probing. By asking that question, you see how that person responds, and according to the response, you're like, you might be one of mine. You might be one of my peeps. Let's go deeper. And if you feel they're cutting short, then you're like, yeah, okay, maybe it's not the right angle for them, or maybe just we're not connected. And just before you go, I see you have a question in your life, and then to me, actually, they're one of the most important, and probably the only one element that matters at the end when you manage your social life. It's time. The most important resource of all, it's time. So that's the thing. I love going deep, but I can't go deep with 1,000 friends. So I better choose very carefully with whom I'm investing my time, and that's the thing. And that's one of the main ingredients, one of the core pillars of my Ikigai concept. You want to pick carefully those people because you want to invest as much time as possible with those 5 special people. And the rest of the time, you see, it depends in which social circle they are. And just one last thing, you absolutely want to be one of those 5 people. You want to be your own Ikigai. And I feel, the way you reacted, when saying I'm all by myself, I feel lonely. That's the thing. If you become your own Ikigai, you're never lonely. Never again. It doesn't mean you don't want to spend time with other people, because it's always even better. But if for a moment you're by yourself, it doesn't even matter, because you can take such a good care of yourself. You're good on your own. I talked a lot. Your turn.
Wow, it's really good. It's really, really good. And I have many. Okay, I have some questions that have been a bit solved, and I'm still speaking about my experience. like I believe I have some scarcity around people, and it might be connected with rejection and loneliness and many other things. However, like when the focus is 5, I'm focused on 5 people that are at the top. Now I have the opposite problem. It's not a scarcity anymore. It's like, who do I choose? Like, woof. And okay, because okay, so then let's go a step back, which is misfits and normal people, because I believe that there is a process there between how many people do I need to meet to recognize that I'm different, to recognize that I'm not matching with the majority, and how can I move from that state of loneliness of, is this me? Am I the weird one, the wrong one? To, I found the people that connect with me, and I can focus on this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. I love that question. And the very first, I don't believe there is any soul in the world that is normal. I believe we are all beautifully unique, that we are all extremely special. The thing is, some people were able to fit in that artificial concept that is called the norm, whatever it was in their specific environment. Some people were able to play, and to me, the norm is a kind of middle ground. It's kind of a lukewarm, intermediary state where nobody is really hurt, but nobody is really fulfilled, because you are trying to match all those unique people. Like it can't work. So the idea is to find, okay, let's find the least hurtful compromise. To me, no, the norm is like that, and let's create something artificial where nobody will be really fulfilled or even content, but we will get by, and nobody will hurt too much, hopefully. At least it's how it feels. And some people were able to fit in that. It's like, okay, it works. And some people are absolutely unable to do that. And I was one of them. And some people just don't want that at all. Like, especially artists. It's like, oh, hell no, get out of here. I don't want to hear about that. And so there are people that are widely resisting that norm. And most of them, especially when they're little, and it was my case, and I have the feeling it might have been for you as well, we were absolutely crushed by that inability to fit in. And that's the thing. And actually, the topic of my tomorrow's post on LinkedIn, that actually what we want is absolutely not fitting in. What we want is belonging. We want to belong with the right people. We don't want to fit. You remember those silly games when we were kids? Those boxes with holes. The circle hole, the square hole, etc. And you had pegs. You had pieces of plastic or wood, and you were trying to put the right peg in the right hole. And that's the thing. So I believe that this norm actually doesn't fit anyone properly. But some were close enough to the shape that by forcing, they were able to enter the hole. But actually, we want to belong with the right pieces, with the pieces that have either the same shape, and we are really like-minded, we're the same, we are really family, or people that are complementary to us, that are different, yet they are open-minded enough to see us like we are and to accept us like we are. Like, we are different, yes, but it's okay. I don't judge you. I love you for who you are, and let's be friends. So I really believe it's an entire different game. And that's the thing. So how to identify those people? There are many ways. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
It was the alarm. The joy alarm, by the way, for those following a bit of playing camp, there is a joy alarm ringing 5 times per day. Wow, so interesting. And so my question now, which is connected with the scarcity, which is a big thing on my life, believe it or not, but is the let go. Like imagine I have like 7, 8, 10 people that are potential or somehow they could fit here or there. What do I do with those that are not in the top 5?
And that is a really, really good question. And then the thing, so Jim Rohn, so I'm not sure who influenced who, but there's a guy that is much more renowned than Jim Rohn in the social life, social relationships field. Is called Robin Dunbar. That guy is an amazing researcher. He's a professor, a university professor, and he was able to come up with many major concepts. So there's that number of 5, but actually the number that you really want to keep in mind is almost 150. It's 148, but let's round it up at 150. And it's the number of people you can manage a connection, a real connection, a real friendship to some level without having a proper system to help you with that. So around 150. So we are far from the 5, right? And actually you have different circles. You have different circles around the 5. So you have 5, you have 15, 5, 15, 50, 150. I have a graphic if you want. I could share that with you. And those would be the different circles, close social circles. And then you have 2 others, or sometimes even 3 others, which will go. So after 150, it's 500, then 1,500. And some people even include a 5,000. And those are average. Don't try to stick to the numbers. It doesn't make sense. It's just an average. And on average is the number of people we have in those different circles. So 5 would be your very super core BFF circle of friends. 15 would be your support group, the people that you really can rely on, and your best friends, but not BFF, like one step further. 50 would be good friends, good enough friends, people you hang out enough, you really rely on, etc. And 150 are more distant friends, people you don't see always, you still cherish, you still appreciate, but that are not so close, maybe because you don't see them enough, or maybe because you have a more distant connection, or maybe you used to be very good friends, but life happened, And just on that topic, I love to share something which is extremely interesting, I believe. You probably know that on average, every 7 years, like 98% of our body is brand new, right? We're almost entirely renewed every 7 years on average, once again. So it's kind of the same for social life. Not as extreme, but every 7 years, 50% of our social life evolves. Not as drastically, but basically you can count to have half of them that will shift from one circle to another. So maybe, and it doesn't have to be just 2 close circles, right? Sometimes it goes, you have jumps. Sometimes a total stranger, someone that you never met again, became your one of your new BFFs in 7 years. And maybe someone that you hold very dear in your heart, no, is still kind of a friend, but distant. You don't see each other that much. And maybe in 14 years or 21 years, on average still, they will fade away from your life. I'm sure it happened to you. It happened several times in mine. So it's very interesting. It's and connecting to your playing camp and to your love for nature, it's like nature. There are cycles. It's absolutely natural. So we might hate that. We might fight against that, but it's just natural. And actually, to me, it makes a lot of sense that you would detach yourself from some relationships so you can welcome new relationships in your life as you evolve, as you become a new person. And like personal growth and personal development is all about that. If you become the now summer version of yourself, an even better version of yourself, and if some of your former friends are absolutely not on that path and maybe are on the opposite path, maybe they're doing drugs, maybe they went to jail, maybe they did, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but just they got caught in the norm trap. You might feel less and less connecting to them. Maybe you used to be BFFs, but maybe not anymore.
Yeah. That's so good, man. Like, really, Kevin, I'm taking notes here like crazy. So good. Because it's a topic, the Dunbar number. So, okay, for those that know my story, I'm going to reveal something that I don't normally say. When I finished my degree on psychology, I was really into positive psychology. But at the same time, my bachelor's degree thesis, I don't know how it's called, my bachelor thesis, it was about social networks and how to put numbers into social networks. So I read that book once upon a time about Connected, I think it was called, The Power of the Social Networks, and how the amount of people in our network that is depressed or has, or is smoking or is obese is determining the likelihood of us developing depression, obesity, or smoking behavior. So I got so obsessed with the whole social network processes that I believe, so I mean, looking on retrospective, I was very exclusive somehow, or very selective. And this is something that I'm going to circle now, because I got detached from a lot of people, thinking like, okay, what type of influence is this person doing in my life? So, because of my love of excellence and also my working habits and working ethics, I end up myself alone. Like, because, this person is not satisfying any of my direction, intentions in life, and I want to work and I have a lot to do. So I always prioritize work over relationship. Now, in a sort of healing process, I'm here with a playing camp telling people like, guys, you die. Like, if you feel lonely and you don't have people around, you are literally dying day by day. It's worse than smoking. So what I'm going to ask you here is also related with the breakfast question. Like, I don't care about breakfast, but you care about breakfast. So to which point relating with people is tolerating each other, or, instead of projecting my likes, and how much should we focus on what we have similar and connect us? How much should I observe and acknowledge and honor this thing that I don't care, but for you is important? Yeah.
That is a fascinating question, and thank you so much. And yeah, very often there's no cookie cutter answer, as you can imagine. But I'd say what matters the most is you find, and I don't like the word balance here, because balance involves, having something that is exactly matched. It doesn't make any sense to me, at least anymore. I much prefer the word synergy, and actually, so is the core of my program, the end of my program. The idea is to create a powerful synergy between your friends and partners and your connections, and really having, like those different circles that I mentioned, to make sure they all work together like they would in a clock. They would all be gears connected to each other and reinforcing and nourishing each other. And so in a one-to-one relationship, to me, it's extremely important. It's fundamental that there's a synergy and that it would be a two-way street, and that obviously, like if you find like let's take an example. I identify myself as a geek, as a nerd, and as a chimera. Chimeras are those pieces of animals all together. So it is the fun name I use for multi-passionate, for people that love so many things, and so we are a patchwork of hobbies and interests. And so if I find someone that is also a geek, a nerd, and a chimera, and like in 2 days from now, on Wednesday, I will have a guest on my podcast that is also a geek and a nerd. So we will connect a lot. So if you are very like-minded, it would be extremely easy. You will naturally find common topics. You won't have to overthink it. It will just flow absolutely naturally. Now, if you find someone that is more complementary, as I mentioned, and we want that. We want diversity. It's bringing magic in our lives. Obviously, if it's someone that is complementary, you won't have that many common topics. You won't get excited about the same things. You might have some common topics, but not that many. And in that case, you probably want to find some dance. And I don't like the word compromise. Compromise sucks. So compromise, it's a bland version of not fitting anyone. Then you get to choose, because every single individual is unique, and every single combination of individuals is even more unique, right? Jason, Mark, and you have a specific connection, right? I will have a different one with him, and you and I will have a different one. It increases the combinations, right? Because we are so unique, all of us. So there are many ways to do that. It might be finding a way where I have my share, you have your share. It would be like I will go a little more into nature than I usually do. I'm a huge city boy. I am very appealed to nature, but I know nothing about nature. I'm a total noob about nature. So you could teach me a lot, but at the same time, I won't be as passionate as nature as you are. Does it make sense? But if for you to feel good in our relationship, I have to bring something on the table, right? And just for the sake of example, so I might go a little bit extra on the nature side, and maybe to please me, you would go a little more into, I don't know, gaming, for example. Maybe you're not, I know you love games in general, but let's say video games, let's say you're not that much into video games, and you might go a little bit extra just to please me. It would be a way. It doesn't have to, but it's just an example. Or to me, a much more interesting way would be, hey, you know what? Let's try something different. Something that you and I never did. It would be like diving. I don't know, I can't dive, so it's a very bad example for me. But it would be like, you never went for diving, I never did. Let's do that together, and let's try something new and exciting. So it would
skydiving.
Yeah, skydiving. But you see the idea. It would be like, instead of each of us feeling maybe a little bit frustrated, it would be like, let's explore something exciting together. There are many ways, actually. There are, and once again, there's no recipes, and that's the thing. So in my program, I don't have I have all those systems and all those concepts, but there are sandboxes. The idea is for people to find their way, to craft their own social roadmap. I don't bring the social roadmap to them. They design their own social roadmap based on my framework and concept. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love it, man. I could be talking about this for hours. I want to ask about the tribe part, like this uncovering your tribe. Can you develop on the idea?
So and just to make a small parenthesis about that. Actually, at the beginning, I was very resistant about the word tribe because for some people, it's actually an insult. Like some people that come from cultures that use the word tribe, like or in Africa or in South America, and actually in Europe, we had that a long time ago. But I know some people are upset. It feels like cultural appropriation of sorts, and like your country and my country were very colonialist once upon a time, not so long ago. So it might be a very touchy subject. Yet then the thing, actually, I believe the proper word because I'm longing for that. I feel our modern world with all its beautiful technology, the amazing tools we had, with all the amazing thingies we have, which gets our life so much easier and better on some aspects. We lost so much of the sense of community. We lost a lot of, like, I spent 2 years ago, I spent 6 incredible months in Mexico. It's where I got my Spanish right-ish. And in Mexico, they are now far from living like tribes. Obviously, it's a very developed country. Yet they have kept some of the essence of that, and they care a lot about each other, much more than we do in Europe. I was very impressed, and I learned so much from them because they kept in touch with that feeling of tribe, at least what I describe as tribe, of community, of really connecting heart to heart with the other and really caring, like asking for the mother of someone because you really mean it, and not necessarily because it's a friend of 20 years. You might have just met that person, but you really mean it. You're caring about that brand new connection so much that you want to go the extra mile. You want to extend your compassion and your interest that far. Just wanted to mention that. And so, the idea, and to me, that tribe, it's actually all those circles, and to really go from the core, the real core, the nucleus of that social life, that starting with ourselves, right? Like Robin Dunbar that I mentioned, he believes that the core is either us or us plus our partner, if we have one. And to me, it's kind of the ikigai to me is all of that, actually. So it can be between 2 and 7 people, if you see what I mean, like 5 plus 1 or 2. And then really, and that tribe extends to the different circles. The same way in a tribe, you would have your own home, and you would have your family, your uncle, your grandparents, and then your cousins, and people that not even blood relative, but they are still in your village, right? And to have that kind of group. And actually, what is very fascinating is the theory from Robin Dunbar is actually based on that, based on ethnology rather than sociology, or a combination of both. But actually, we have kept our habits from the times when we were tribes and where we lived in villages. And actually, it even happens like they made a study on Facebook, and people had that glass ceiling when they connected really with around 150 people, and it was on average it was the glass ceiling. So we tend to keep that. It's what we can manage, and 150 was more or less the average number of those villages back then. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, what I remember from Dunbar is like the neocortex of the Homo sapiens evolved that much because of the amount of computational power that you can hold, considering the relationships and the different information. Like, okay, this person like fish, this person like meat, this person cannot run, this person has an injury on the arm, and this person is with this person, but this person is enemy of this other person. So all this data, it seems like 150 elevated to whatever the computation and the combinations is like the cap of the brain, right? And that's why what I remember from Dunbar's name is like up to that the group splits and then it becomes two groups. And also about the tribe, I want to share something, like, because I've been in Africa and I have had some romantic relationships there and some really good friendships. Something that I learned is if you marry in Africa, you don't marry with one person, you marry with the whole family. so, and that's, I think it's something like very Western to believe that, when you meet a person, you are only meeting that person. When on the rest of the world, is what you mentioned in Mexico, it's like, of course, he's asking about the mother, because the mother can be like a fundamental part of the life of the other person, and it's impossible to consider one without the other. So, and I have another question towards tribes, but first, what do you think, like, is as westernized people that we are getting this wrong, or what do you think?
So yeah, I don't believe in right or wrong anymore. Actually, so Buddhism had a massive influence on me. So we make right or wrong based on our views, but there's nothing right or wrong. Period. It doesn't exist. We make it. We decide to label it right or wrong. Like a volcano eruption might seem wrong at first, then you come back a few years later and the nature is so thriving, it has been so well fertilized, suddenly it's very right. So there's nothing, yeah, you're not right. Once again,
I was triggering you with a question.
And yeah, the thing, so we evolved. So I believe there's a lot of beautiful, very good things in those non-Western cultures, and other ones not so much. I believe, and you're a traveler as well. You know the power of traveling. I don't believe there's any country that has it all. I don't believe that the grass is greener on the other side. I believe there are many different shades of green, and that we can find our favorite shade. And by traveling, by broadening our views, we can find the shade that really match our own identity at best. And I believe it's the same. And like, once again, modernity has amazing upsides. Right now, we have the world in our hand, in our pocket. We have access to all libraries in the world in a snap. So we are able to figure it out and to create our own sense of community the way we want. We can take 15% of Mexican way, 20% of the Spanish way, 15% of the French way, add some US, Australian, and Chinese in the mix, and maybe you have the perfect recipe for you that won't be the perfect recipe for someone else, right? But we can create our own way if we want to.
Yeah. But I want to mention something about my network. Because, when I was doing these studies on social network, we were mapping them out with different software. And for example, one of the exercises was to extract the data from Facebook and map them out. And there are different characteristics of the network. One of them is like how dense is the network, like how tight are the nodes. And this is dependent of if one node is connected to many nodes, and those nodes, those people in the network, are also connected among them, then on the visual representation, they are close together. So what is happening on my personal case is because of these different my life experience living in different countries, when I found out, because I have been taking notes of these different ikigais, suddenly I realized, okay, I could put these people here, these people fit here, but they are not connected among them. So it's like I'm one person, and then I have like these different nodes that supply some of my social needs, but they are not connected. They don't know each other. They don't know they exist. So how is that? I mean, I can guess how is that for me, but is this common? Is this something that makes the process of building the tribe more difficult? Is this having advantages, disadvantages?
So yeah, once again, it's a fantastic question. You're full of those. You're doing a great job, and I guess it depends. Like in all cases, so I'm a traveler as well, and my ikigais are spread out as well, and so it has good. Once again, it has upsides. It makes me connected to other parts of the world. I get access to their network, which is extremely powerful. It's and especially as I'm working my way to become a linchpin. I don't know if you heard about the word linchpin. So it's Seth Godin that coined it. Linchpins are super connectors. Linchpins, like in the networks you mentioned, there people are really at the crossroads of different big networks. So basically, if you contact a linchpin, suddenly you can contact so many people at once. So it's extremely powerful. So I intend to become a linchpin. I'm working on that, and so yeah, it's extremely powerful. And I have some not necessarily guys, but some people in my network that are very powerful linchpins, or like me, they're on their way to become one. So it can be extremely powerful, actually. No, in the same, because they are so spread out, actually, none of them, there's one of them that is living very close to where I live. So only 50 kilometers from where I live, which is very good. But the other ones are spread out, which on the upside, whenever I go near where they live, I know where to sleep. I know I will have an amazing time. I will be connected to amazing people. So it's a beautiful upside. On the downside, my local ikigai being so busy, I don't get to see him much. And so my physical in-person social life is not as warm and as thriving as I would like. But that's okay. It's a choice I make, and that's the thing. There's a concept I love, which is seasonality, and it doesn't have to be all the time winter. You get to choose, and most people can't afford to be in summer, social summer all the time as well. Like to me, Tallinn in July is full summer. And actually it's extremely interesting because last summer I did a burnout. I had a burnout, a social burnout. I'm not kidding you. I went and I told you, right, 60% extrovert, but still 40% introvert. And I so disrespected my introvert side. Oh, believe me, the bill was very, very high. So I crashed. When I went home, because I went so full out in social mode without taking good care of my needs, my introvert needs. I exploded, literally, which actually served me very well. It was a very challenging time, but it served me extremely well, actually. But it wasn't pleasant. I would have preferred not going into burnout mode. But my point is, you want some, once again, not balance, but you want some flow. You want some ebb and flow. in your life, and it's why I came up with that concept of seasonality that I created with Eric Ferguson. Actually, you might remember him from the Lightbook community.
Of course, Eric. I've been on his podcast. He has been on here as well. Great. Full potential living.
That's exactly. So that Eric and that concept is extremely powerful. And the idea is to have some seasons, at least 2 seasons, winter and summer, and times where you go much more deeper into social life, and other times where you withdraw more and you get busy, you build your business, you focus on your own thing, you go introvert and you read a lot or whatever you feel like it. And knowing that winter won't last and summer will come again. And same when in summer, no worries, a little introvert. Your time will come, winter will come back. And you might even go with springs and falls if you feel like. But I feel it's extremely powerful. Like currently, I know I'm disconnected for a time from my ikigais and from in-person social time. But it doesn't matter. I know they're coming. I know spring is very close and summer will be amazing. So I will be patient. It's on its way. And back to you were talking about scarcity. When you know abundance in its way or on its way, abundance is coming. So if abundance is coming, abundance is already there because actually we are abundance. Our universe is abundance, or at least it's my belief. You believe whatever you want, but I don't believe in anything like scarcity. We create scarcity in our mind, like the volcano thing, right? It's not good or bad. We decide in our head. We create that scarcity. I don't believe it exists.
It's such a good point. Like Kevin, really, I could be talking with you another hour. Really. I'm going to try to close this thing because I went to a race yesterday. It was like these big races here in Madrid, and there were so many people, and I have had like a bit of a romantic thing with a girl. And she was in the race, but I didn't know where she was. And then I was like kind of looking for her. And I'm like, Carlos, brother, like there is probably like 20,000 people here. Like how many of them could be? I mean, just putting half, like there is 10,000 girls around you, just selecting on age or sociodemographic. Maybe there is like 5,000 girls around you that are like potential partners. And you are here like looking for one. Like, Carlos, you're really fucked up. You need therapy, brother.
No, it's normal, and like that. The thing I love that you mentioned. That information from Robin Dunbar that actually we kept our brain. We had our neocortex that grew like almost a parasite. That is super weird and very recently. But actually, in 2 million years of evolution, we kept all the hardware. The software evolved, but we kept all the hardware. We are wired for survival. We are not wired for thriving. We are naturally wired for survival. It's what we will always choose subconsciously, unless through mindfulness, through positive intelligence, through exercises, through doing some play camp on a regular basis, you can slowly but surely switch and be able to go to focus on thriving. Some people are better at that naturally, and others. Like you mentioned, what not doing so well during one time. I suffered from depression. I had years of depression. Believe me, I was far from thriving in those days. I was hating myself. I felt so miserable for a time. So once again, kind of seasonality. I had my winter season of the soul in a way. And actually what is extremely interesting, and I wrote a post about that a few weeks ago, my best growth spurts always came from the most challenging times. And that's an analogy, a smelly analogy I shared many times in the last days. And I'm sure you know that. Do you know what is the best way to fertilize your crop?
Shit.
You put shit on your crop. If you want to fertilize your field at best, you put some shit, some good old shit. It smells, it's awful, it might make you puke, so it will be heavily unpleasant. But you wait a few weeks or months, and you will see your crop will have. And that's it. So actually, and I feel it's one of the most powerful tools we can ever develop, to be able to turn our failures, our mistakes, our bad times into growth, into fertilizer. That's an ultimate game changer to me.
Digging some shit. Definitely, Kevin. Kevin, I'm going to ask you the couple of questions that I like to close the podcast with. The first one being, if you had in front of you your inner child, what would you tell to your inner child?
So it's very interesting because I'm having my inner child, and you know what? It's gonna be fun. I will unrest for you. You're gonna love it.
So Kevin is leaving the library to look for. Whoa, nice.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
So it reads, "I'm an adult, but not like a real adult." And basically, it's a panda dressed like a teddy bear, playing video games and reading. So I'm seeing my inner child daily. It's like you, right? I stepped into my power. I fully embrace myself. I'm having fun every single day. My inner child is playing all day long with me, actually. So basically, if you ask to answer your question, I just did like the second before you asked that question, because I'm directly connected to my inner child, and right now my inner child is playing with yours, and you know that.
Nice. The other side of the question is, I mean, firstly, like, what do you tell to your inner child? Then what the inner child tells you?
Well, because actually that's the thing, and yeah, let's go a little bit deeper in that. But actually, I don't believe we ever change. I believe we're like layered cakes, right? ¿Cómo se dice en español? Miras hojas, milfeuille.
Yes,
Yeah. Miras hojas. It's really how I see, like, I am still my 1 year old, I'm still my 2 year old, etc. And they didn't disappear. They didn't, the 3 year old didn't take the place of the 2 year old. It's just adding up like a big layered cake. So my inner child is still with me. It has been from the get going. The thing is, I forgot about my inner child, and even worse, I don't want to judge myself for that, but like so many people, I pushed it away. I tried to suffocate it even at times. I disrespected my inner child the way I disrespected my introvert side a few months ago, but not anymore. No, and that's the thing. So especially since that beautiful moment with Sonia Choquette, when she helped me reveal my Mr.Mingle. It really helped me reconnect with my inner child. And I chose my spirit animal, which is otter, nutria in Spanish. And actually, apparently, according to a friend of mine, it should be seal. So it's very interesting, like I was close enough, like seal, otter. Yeah, it was actually close. And since then, I'm just every single day I'm nurturing and reconnecting deeper with my inner child. So my inner child is very healthy these days, and like my words are the words of my inner child, and the other way around. At least it's my belief.
Wow, Kevin, where people can find more of you and listen to more and read more, like, wow.
Well, yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. It's really my playground, my play camp of mine. Yeah, the best way is to connect with me on LinkedIn. So I have a few things cooking. I don't know when you intend to release this podcast.
Oh, of course.
I have very good things cooking up. So yeah, just reach out to me on LinkedIn and we'll get from there.
No, yeah, really. Like, I'm going to reiterate that. Like, actually, your strategy is really good because you tag people to spark interaction. And I remember that I wrote like a decent comment. I was quoting different people and I added a video. And I mean, I can see the author here on LinkedIn. So, no, really, it's an amazing source of information you have. And for you listeners, you have a chance of get clarity in your social life as well, speaking with Kevin. And he can explain you way deeper in all these different concepts and all these different practices. Like, Kevin, it has been such a conversation because normally I connect more the topic with playing camp, but I mean, this is playing camp. It's like connections among people, and it's a topic that I'm super passionate about it. So I'm so happy that we have been going through all this journey of, like from the procrastinating, right, to how to take action and how to start to apply all these different self-improvement concepts into our social life, which honestly I believe is something so needed, because in many occasions self-development is so focused on the self, on this individualistic westernized culture, when, come on, we are who we are because of our social connections. And there is the Dunbar's number, which is this main factor that made our brains grow and become Homo sapiens and be smart and develop language. And how now we have this tool of the ikigais, so we can focus on who are the key people in our lives that is helping us to be joyful, to grow, to be supported, to develop our wealth, and to have impact in the planet. And many techniques on how to transform our unique misfitness into our tribe, and how to overcome loneliness. And yeah, stop living in scarcity, develop your 5, 15, 50, 150, 500 circles and beyond, and build a tribe of people that are going to transform you into a leech pin, if you want. So you will be connected to many amazing hundreds of human beings. Kevin, wow, such a conversation. I love it so much. Thank you so much for being here. And to the next time, we could talk another extra hour, definitely.
Actually, I would love to, if your game, I would love to shoot another one, because yeah, I still haven't a touch on some very important other concept. For another time.
A badness. Do you want it?
You're on my podcast as well, so let's see when it can happen.
I'll be there. Do you want to send a last message to the audience?
Just, guys, whether you realize it or not, your social life is an incredible game changer. So many people grind their whole life until they realize, you know what, all that money, all that fame, all that power, it doesn't bring me much, actually. And there's another book, a very famous book, the 5 regrets of the dying. Usually, people dying, they don't regret about the money. They don't regret, about those kind of things we tend to chase our entire life. They regret usually about people and health, like teeth. It's a big one, but you want to take care of your social life. And just connect with me if you want to know more. And please go and play with Carlito. And I am to blame. I didn't take the chance then, but I really want to correct that as soon as possible. Like seeing those people having so much fun in the playing camp, I was like, shit, why do you always do your workshop right after lunch? But next time I will be smarter. I will arrange and be sure to be part of it.
Thank you so much, Kevin. You know what they say? The sixth regret of life is not coming to play camp.
It should be a new one. You're totally right. So yeah, no, and that's the thing. I have an easy fix for that. So wait for it. I'm coming.
Thank you so much, Kevin Moreau, Mr.Mingle. Thank you very much. Go to LinkedIn, guys. He's amazing. Thank you. See you next time. Ciao.